Hello again, Jen Havey.
Hello again, Mike Lewis.
Here we are again, doing this over Skype one more time on this chilly, almost winter's day.
Yeah, we had attempted to do this yesterday in person together, and then we just ended up watching horror movies and drinking.
Yeah, we got far too excited about upcoming Halloween and all the different scary movies that we're planning on watching, and we just got very distracted, threw on Netflix, and you had me watch Oculus, which was really fun.
I did. That's a good one. I was really surprised how good that movie was.
I liked that one. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Although I don't ever want Karen Gillan to do an American accent ever again.
Aw, she doesn't do a bad one. I think it just weirds you out.
It's not that she does. It's not that she does. Yeah, it weirds me out. It's just so strange. I'm used to hearing that Scottish accent coming out of her mouth, and when it wasn't there, it was very disconcerting.
It's like, who are you? So for me,
yeah, it was like watching a completely different person.
Well, see, for me, watching Lucas from Empire Records be the dad was just
That's
odd.
true. Although, but again, like I said, he has grown up and really looks like somebody's dad.
It's
like,
true.
He just looks like a dad now.
I think it's what happens as you age.
I suppose. I guess you start to look older and wiser.
Well, at least one of those.
Well, yeah. He had the older going on, definitely.
Yeah, I did. Him and Katie Sackhoff there. Anywho's.
Which, yeah, I didn't realize it was Katie Sackhoff for like the first minute and a half she was in the movie.
You're like, who's that? Oh.
Yeah, because I had forgotten you said Katie Sackhoff was in it, and then like once she finally turned around at one point and was looking right at the camera, I was like, oh, that's Starbuck.
You're like, wait a minute. And now she's gone nuts. Awesome.
It all kind of clicked together.
So that's what happened. Instead of us recording a session of podcast, we ended up drinking and eating pizza and watching Oculus.
Well, and we had to wind up drinking even more because of that terrible cider that we picked up.
That was awful.
That was so bad.
It was, what was the brand?
It was Angry Orchard, which makes really good cider. And this particular brand was their Stone Dry variety.
Yeah.
Which I was excited for because, I love cider. But Angry Orchard sometimes is a bit too sweet. Sometimes, like, I wish you'd dial back on the sugar just a little bit and make it a little drier. And so when I saw a brand they had that was advertised as being a drier cider, I was like, great, this should be fantastic. And no, it basically just wound up tasting like water.
Yeah, no, that was not delicious in any way, shape, or form. It was like water with a slight apple bitter at the end. It was so weird.
It was not any good at all.
No, so don't do that.
I was very disappointed.
So the takeaways here are: watch Oculus, but don't drink Stone Dry Angry Orchard.
Any other Angry Orchard should be fine, but not Stone Dry.
So then we ended up having to drink wine because we needed something with flavor.
Yes, so I'm now out of wine. I got to go pick some up after we're done here because I am out of booze, and that just doesn't fly in this house.
That is unacceptable.
Yeah, that will not stand.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at my house going, I have to go grocery shopping at some point.
Yeah, you need food, I need booze.
I also need booze, but yeah, food is probably slightly more important.
I would disagree, but our priorities are different.
True. This is very true. So shall we get into something that is not booze or movie related?
We got a little bit of movie news
we do.
At the bottom of this. No booze news. I should probably start looking in for that.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll go with what we got and just jump in.
Jump in like you would in a bikini?
There you go.
Yeah,
all right. It's a good segue. I like that.
Well, perhaps you would in a bikini. I wouldn't necessarily. So in perusing the internet the last several days, I came across this story about how they have now created this 3D printed bikini that, while you swim around, will clean the water. Which sounds like a great idea on paper in a lot of ways, and as you read the article, it talks about how, like, you swim and it sucks up all the crap, and, like, you can actually wear it, a good dozen times or so before you have to superheat it and where it releases all the crap. But then it makes me wonder, why are you swimming in toxic waters to begin with? Like, yes, that part of you is like sucking up all the bad, but you're still having to swim in it.
Yeah, I guess this isn't really made to jump in like the most polluted, horrible water out there. But even still, I mean, because in the article here it talks about pollution being endemic. It's the deep blue sea or the Great Lakes, backyard swimming pools, like all this stuff, like just all the stuff that's in our water these days. And so that just got me thinking, how much of a difference would this really make? I mean, even if you had like every woman in the world wearing one of these, how much can you actually pull out of the ocean or out of the Great Lakes and fix it?
Well, it actually says the material absorbs toxic effluvia, to an extent that is 25 times greater than its own weight. So that
Even still, I mean, that's just there's just an awful lot of water in the world.
well, yes. No, absolutely. And again, how much, like they talk about up further up in the article about, oil spills. Like, really, would you want to go swimming in an oil spill?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, unless you're trying to make like that would be kind of cool if you could make wetsuits out of this. Like just make a frame for a wetsuit with this same sponge material that they use for this bikini, and like divers that have to go in to cap off spilling oil or whatever. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, also, why wouldn't you just make, I mean, again, the amount of material that you have to use would probably be large, but make just a giant sheet that you dredge through. You know what I mean? Like, dredge behind a boat and grab all the crap.
Yeah, seriously.
As opposed to be like, here, put on a teeny tiny bikini and suck it up, go. It's like, at least have a one-piece suit. I mean, have more surface area.
Yeah, because the thing that they're showing here, it's just like a top. Yeah. Like it's a 3D printed wireframe top that you then shove this sponge filter into the front of.
Yeah,
it's like that's not. You could make something that has so much more surface area that would just collect way more stuff.
Right, exactly. But then I wonder if maybe part of the problem would be the more surface area you have and the more stuff you collect. I'm wondering about the actual mass and the weight of this stuff. Like, at some point you're like, oh my god, I can't get out of the water. Why? Because my bikini's so heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it would pick up that much stuff, but still,
right.
This is an interesting idea, but the practicality of it just doesn't really seem to be there. At least not for me, because what do I know? I'm not like a pollution cleanup engineer or whatever.
Well, no, but I feel like we're, as a society, are desperately trying to find really good uses for 3D printing technology because it's such a cool technology. But to date, there's not a whole. I mean, like you can make artificial limbs and stuff, and that's really super cool. But the amount of uses that are useful for this, very very few so far. And I think they're still trying to figure out its niche to make this worthwhile.
Yeah, we got 3D printers at the stores for the Maker Faire they have coming up.
Yeah, does yours work? I've heard so many complaints.
No, we've managed to get it to work. We've printed a few things. Mary took charge of it, and Mary's like loves weird stuff like that and will waste all of her time trying to get it to work. And she did. We've printed a few things.
What did you print?
Oh, God. Well, there's a couple things. It came with a cartridge that had a couple templates on it. We printed a little Barnes & Noble bear, which actually was kind of cool because it printed, so it prints vertically, and it printed this little teddy bear that was standing up, and next to it had this little angled sign that said Barnes & Noble.
Huh.
That was kind of neat. She printed out a Minion.
Heh.
She tried to print a Millennium Falcon, but that didn't work. That failed. She's currently printing a Grim Reaper.
I say, how long do these things take?
Well, let's see. The Barnes & Noble Bear thing, that took overnight. That was like a 13-hour project.
Yeah.
But one of the first things that she did was this owl that actually, for some reason, didn't finish. Like, it printed out half of the thing, but it didn't have a head. But it had, like, claws and it had feathers and all that stuff. It got, like, to the top of the body and just stopped, and it said it was done. And apparently every store's had that problem.
The headless owl.
The headless owl. But that took maybe 6 hours, I think.
I don't know if you remember that for Gishwiz there was that item to 3D print your, something about time. And I remember Sarah, who had access to the 3D printer, she did that over like the course of 2 days, and it was a thing that was maybe like 5 inches tall. Like it was not a giant thing. So how long would it take?
This one was these printers that we have. They're called DaVinci Juniors. So I think they're meant to be like a not as advanced model. It's meant for kids, quote unquote, but I think it's more like for a hobbyist kind of thing.
I'd say it's like a $400 machine.
Yeah, I think it's $350.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the real 3D printers, I'm sure go for much more.
I'm sure.
So yeah, this isn't meant to do anything super intricate and detailed, I don't think. So yeah, the stuff, some of it can take overnight, but I don't think we have any projects that we'd put in there that would take days.
Yeah, it's such a cool technology, but it just takes so long.
Yeah, it's not a very quick solution kind of technology, but it's still really cool.
And what is the filament made of? Is it plastic? Is that what it is?
I'm not 100% sure what it is. It's some kind of plastic, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what it was. Is you take the filament and put it through, and I think it heats it up, and then kind of like squirts it out through a nozzle onto the printing surface.
Okay.
It's some kind of a plastic, but I'm not really sure what.
And I wonder, like, where do you buy replacement cartridges for this thing?
I'm sure there's some kind of a specialty market for it, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where.
Because I assume Barnes & Noble doesn't sell it, right? We just sell the printer, but not replacement cartridges.
Yeah, I haven't seen any cartridges or anything for it come in, no.
Yeah, so I wonder, once you have it, then what do you do?
Yeah, really. I mean, then you'd have to either find templates online for it, or you'd have to start learning how to program your own.
Oh, good lord.
And I think that's the idea, but
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird hobby at this point.
Right. And I mean, like we were saying, there are some legitimate uses for it, but right now it's just kind of like, hey, look at the thing I made. I remember people being all excited they can make action figures in their own likeness, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember Rooster Teeth, those guys at their annual convention last year, I think, they had a group that was doing that. They had a 3D printer set up, and they also had like a little scanning station that was basically just a bunch of cameras in a circle, right? And you stood in the middle, kind of like the thing at the airport, the Rapiscan thing that does X-rays. But this was more like a bot, just it scans the outside of you, and then it would just take your image and download it to the 3D printer, and it would print out a miniature version of you.
So weird.
That was kind of cool. Whereas, ours is nowhere near that advanced. You just put in, like, the one color filament, and it prints it. Like, we couldn't do multiple colored things.
Right. Huh. Intriguing.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be cool to see what they wind up doing. Like the article that I sent you going, continuing on with 3D printing. The one that I sent you about, they're trying to 3D print human teeth now.
And that's actually really freaking cool.
That is really cool, especially if you look at this picture on the article. It's like that awesome 3D printed tooth.
Yeah.
And it looks just like a human. It's kind of creepy, but it's also really cool.
I'm wondering, like, I don't understand how tooth implants work anyway, but, like, I wonder how you would manage to get that into someone's mouth and make it stay there.
I don't know. I've always kind of wondered how that works, too, but apparently they can do it.
Yeah, because I've had friends who've gotten implants, and I'm like going, how does that operate? I'm so confused. But, I mean, this is really cool because inside the plastic, they've added this, what is it, aluminum salt of some sort?
It's some kind of a salt, some kind of an antibacterial salt thing that they've mixed in with the filament.
Yeah.
And so, according to this thing, it kills like 99% of bacteria.
Which is really cool. However, they say, while that's a really neat thing and we've succeeded in this, we still don't know how it's going to interact with, for instance, your mouth for a length of time. Because they only did it, I think, for 6 days. They had it in contact with
Yeah, and then also it says like they don't know how with toothpaste, they don't know how it's going to interact with toothpaste.
Right.
And they're also not 100% sure if it's strong enough to actually be used as a tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, here, you can have a tooth, but you can't use it.
Yeah, but I'm sure that, which would kind of be okay. I mean, I guess at this point you could use, I know my grandma has a bridge that she wears. Mm-hmm. I knew a guy that had a fake tooth, but his wasn't actually inserted. He could take his out because it was attached to a plate that was molded to the top of his mouth, and then the fake tooth just kind of fit in the gap where his old tooth used to be.
Interesting.
So you could do that. You could make one of those out of this stuff. And that would still, so even if you wanted to make that bridge for the top out of this material, that would still combat bacteria.
Right. I mean,
and then you could just take it out and wash it.
And this, I think, would be a great first step for this stuff is the dentures, like to make an actual set of dentures for somebody, because
exactly,
they always complain about how the dentures just are full of a whole host of bacteria. And they can't ever seem to get quite enough of it off because, you can't really brush those the way you would normally brush teeth. And then you can do the soaking thing, but, So I think that would be a really great use for this, even if it's not implantable teeth. If we do find that we can use them, as teeth, dentures would be the next.
Or even not. Definitely is just like as a cosmetic start. But yeah, I'm sure that you could make this stuff strong enough to bite down on Whoa.
What?
Nothing. I accidentally hovered over a video that was in this article, and so I heard the sound from the video start in my headphones. I didn't know what it was.
Voices in your head.
A little bit. It was kind of creepy. I'm sure they could find a way to make this stuff strong enough to actually bite down on most soft foods. Would be pretty easy.
Oh, probably.
But yeah, you probably couldn't chomp on almonds or something with these, but...
Damn it.
Well, good enough for, like, spaghetti.
Corn on the cob. That would be sad.
Well, but you just... have corn not on the cob, Jen Avey.
That ruins half of the point. Like, I like sitting there and gnawing on my cob of corn. I mean, come on.
No, I understand completely. I'm down. I'm a big corn cob fan myself. But I'm just saying, if you can give people teeth, I think they can sacrifice corn on the cob for having teeth.
You think that they'd make that sacrifice?
Well, would you?
I don't know.
Well, then you're a maniac.
Yes, I am. Very much.
You're holding a little too strong to your principles there, Jen.
Well, I am a maniac in the fact that my whole family is from Maine and we all eat a lot of corn. So there.
Was that a pun?
Well,
the name Maine and the word maniac. Were you going for some kind of a weird play on words?
Well, I wasn't really going for play on words. I was going for an actual term that they use. There are two terms for people from Maine: Mainers and maniacs. And therefore, I was going
Mennonites.
Yeah, no one says Mennonites.
Well, I'm going to start introducing that one.
Okay. I am considered a Mainer in exile, which is hilarious because I spent, I think, maybe the first 6 months.
What are you, a Russian novelist?
What? What do you want from me, sir?
It's just Mainer in exile.
Oh my god, it is a thing. I kid you not. My dad has a bumper sticker. And it's like a website. You can go to it, MainersInExile.com. I'm pretty sure that's what the actual website's called. He has a mug that says it. Or Mainers in Exile.
Devotion that people have to their states can be just so...
Well, what I was about to say was that, I only lived there for the first 6 months of my life. And I've lived away from it the entire time. When I die, my obituary will say, Mainer dies wherever the hell I'm dying, like in New York State. You can move to Maine as an adult or what have you and live there the rest of your life, and they will forever say an out-of-stater died there. They will never say they were a Mainer. It's one of those things.
The North is just as bizarre as the South in a lot of ways.
Yep. We each have our own idiosyncrasies.
Well, no, we have a lot of the same idiosyncrasies is what it really seems.
Well, I sent you that Facebook posting, right? My friend from back home who's like, I hate it when they call Wellsville Western or upstate New York.
Oh, yeah. Just confirming what we were saying in, what was it, maybe episode the first one of these that we put up, talking about what you call all the different regions of upstate New York.
Yep, and case in point, I sent you that link. I'm like, look at
it was like the very next day.
I'm like, see, I am not nuts. Back home, this is what they say. And she was arguing about, they call everything upstate. Well, we're Western. Okay, sure. Those city folk.
Yeah, and it was really snippy, too, because it was like, I guess to all those city folk, we're all just upstate or something. And I was like, well, yeah, because you're all north of the city, so...
Yeah, pretty much. And apparently we're all just city folk that don't know any better.
I know. This state is weird.
Like I said, every state has its weirdness. This one, I have a really good in-depth view of the weird of this state. However, you don't always have to live in New York, because you could go live on Mars.
If only we could live on Mars, Jen Havey, and it seems as if that is becoming ever so much closer to a reality.
Well, closer being, still many, many, many years in the future, but yes.
Well, but I mean, still getting closer. I mean, these greenhouses are pretty awesome and pretty advanced.
No, it is. It's super cool. And it's supposed to be, if I remember the article correctly, that, this is going to be on the end of, one long arm of stuff.
Yeah. If you go all the way... This is a Vice article that I sent to Jen that I found the other day about basically just kind of showing off the prototype greenhouses NASA is developing for possible Mars missions in the future. And basically, they're all these long glass cylinders. And they're all hydroponic greenhouses, so there's no actual soil involved. And it's just all these plants and vines that are growing up the sides of these cylinders. And they all are growing out of this... hydroponics is weird. It's not exactly water, but it's more like a gel that they all...
It's kind of like a chemical solution, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, if you go down, it looks like, it basically looks like what you would buy for ferrets or gerbils, like just the little tunnels that you snap together and then build little habitats and mazes out of. That's what it looks like. And also they have some kind of a solar collector coming out of the middle of it, and all these different tubes branching off.
Yeah, I think the thing that's cool about this, aside from it being like, look, we can grow stuff in space. That's not where the logistics end, though. The logistics are, okay, so you have this many people on your space station on Mars, and you have this much greenhouse, you have these many plants. So how many of the plants can you eat before you either suffocate or starve? Because they have to do this balancing act.
Yeah, it's like how many plants do you need for each person to provide enough food or oxygen?
Yeah. And if you have a party and eat too much, you might die the next day of suffocation. It's just like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a very fine line that they're trying to strike. It's pretty impressive.
I mean, that's just a whole lot of math, man.
Yeah, which is why I don't do anything like this, because I never had the patience for math or, practical science or anything.
Well, I enjoy
love...
algebra, and that's kind of what this is. It's like this variable and this variable and this variable, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. But I would be like, but people will die if I screw this up.
Yeah, this isn't like just trying to find the slope of a line for an algebra test. This is life and death shit.
It's like, whoops, my bad. I put the decimal point in the wrong place. I was just like,
well, isn't that what happened with that? What was it? It was a Mars lander, I think, years ago. Like one team was using metric and one team was using imperial, and they forgot to convert one of the measurements, so the thing just crashed right on the surface.
Didn't we
of Mars.
always determine that scientific anything is just done in metric? Is that not
I think
a thing?
I think after this, that's what happened. Like, just do everything in metric, like because just everybody else uses metric. Just do metric.
Yeah, we're like the only country on the planet that doesn't use metric.
It's us, and I want to say 2 others. Libya might be one of them. Let me pull that up.
The Western world.
I want to say it's only 3 countries that don't use the metric system.
No, the rest of the Western world uses metric and gets paid family leave. We use imperial, and we don't do that.
Well, except for England uses a very strange kind of hybrid of the metric system, I think, because they use miles, I think, sometimes. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember, because I mean,
yeah, it's 3. United States, Burma, and Liberia are the only countries that do not use
one
the
of
metric
these
system.
things is not like the others.
Yeah, it's us, one tiny little country on the coast of northern Africa, and Burma.
Well, then.
And Antarctica is also great on this map, but, I mean, whatever.
But it's Antarctica.
Well, there are Americans down there, and I would
There
assume
are.
that they use, what is ours called? Imperial Standard, I think?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking, though, of Vice had a really, really good news... I mean, they have a great news show, but one of the segments they had was about Antarctica and the surveying of it and the dealing with not only of global warming and losing the ice shelves and things. And they also talk about, like, tourism down there and how that's actually not helping things. Stuff like that.
I would imagine not, no.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. I love Vice. I love watching their stuff and reading their stuff.
Yeah, it might have been them actually that I saw a couple days ago. I didn't read the whole article, but it said something to the effect of like all the Antarctic ice shelves will be gone by like 2100.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
we probably can't.
And at
fix
this
that
point, it's like can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
Yeah, no, we've hit that point of no return on this stuff. All we can do is slow it down to some degree, which is very sad. However, we're going to be dead, so.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that I do think that way sometimes. It's like, yeah, not in my lifetime, which is not a good way to think. But at the same time, it's like, I'm going to be dead.
Well,
what do I really care?
It's not like you nor I have any particular skills that we can apply to this problem. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be able to be part of the solution. So, yeah. I mean, aside from, like, making choices in our day-to-day life of, taking public transit, stuff like that. But you and I can...
we do that anyways
right.
because where we live, we have to.
But, I mean, like, we, aside from personal choices of that nature, we don't have a whole lot of control over it. And, of course, writing to your congressman and stuff like that. So, like, sitting there and agonizing over the direction that the environment is going is only going to serve to stress you out. I mean...
Yeah, it's just going to make you die faster, probably.
Pretty much.
It's going to have a heart attack that much earlier.
It's like, if I had, financial means and I had connections and stuff, sure, I'd go out there and fight the good fight. I don't. I work in retail and I pay my rent and buy food for my cat, and that's the extent of my financial resources.
Mm-hmm. And then we're all just coasting along until we die and nothing is our problem anymore.
Yeah.
This took a depressing turn.
I was going to say, we did. We kind of went, we went to a sad place.
We started out like so optimistically talking about missions to Mars and like building greenhouses to go live on another planet. And now we're just talking about how our inevitable, inescapable death.
Well, you know what else is inevitable and inescapable? The next Die Hard movie.
Clearly. apparently it is inevitable. And they're not going to let it go. They
will not let it die.
They won't. They're not going to stop beating this dead horse into the ground.
Which again, like I pointed out with this article, the first sentence is stupid because they don't know what the phrase "die hard" means. Die hard means you can't kill it. It doesn't die easy. The first sentence of this article says, unlike its title would suggest, Die Hard just simply will not die. I'm like, no, that's exactly what the title suggests.
Yeah, it suggests something that you can't kill.
Right. And we can't. And apparently this is going to be a prequel. Is that my understanding?
That's what it said. Yeah, it says
Oh, good
the
lord.
next Die Hard. Yeah, Die Hard 6 is happening, and it's going to be a prequel. That's
And
the title of the
tentatively
article.
being called Die Hard Year One.
Oh, and they probably won't come up with any better title than that.
Oh!
And honestly, I don't even want them to try, because just why? Why even bother at this point?
You know, Die Hard 1 was great, Die Hard 2 was fine, and then until we got to Live Free or Die Hard, which I like that one. But that's it. Like, the franchise just needs to give it up, man. Just give it up.
It does. I enjoyed Die Hard 3 just because of really Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, yes, but, I mean, as far as a film goes, it's not really worth writing home about.
No, and even Live Free or Die Hard wasn't really worth
No, but
writing
that was at
about.
least fun.
Yeah, that one. That's where things started to get really weird. Because isn't that the one where they fly an unmanned drone into a traffic tunnel
Oh,
or something?
maybe. I don't remember. I just remember Justin Long trying really hard to be an action hero.
Yeah, and that wasn't working at all. Yeah, but so this one, it's supposed to be a prequel, and it's supposed to follow John McClane. What is it saying here? The idea is the movie would show how a young McClane went from being a typical New York cop to the cop that simply wouldn't die. And it's like, but that's what the first Die Hard movie
Right.
was. The first Die Hard movie was he was just a regular, normal cop who wound up in this bizarre terrorist scenario.
Well, wasn't he also retired at that point? Like, wasn't he a retired cop?
No, he wasn't retired. It was he went to L.A. to try and patch things up with his wife, who had
Right.
separated from him, and
Who then became a hostage.
Who then became a hostage, and that's apparently how their marriage was saved. Was the fact that she was a hostage and he saved her.
Who needs marriage counseling? Just take my wife hostage. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and then it happened again in the second movie, and then by the third movie they figured out, you know what, that's not a great foundation for a relationship, and she was just gone.
Well, it's, kind of like the movie Speed. They get together because they are, about to die on a bus.
And she even specifically says that at the end of the movie, like, relationships that result from dangerous situations like this don't ever last.
And then they make out. But
Yeah, and then in the next movie, Keanu Reeves is gone.
Yeah. Did you see that next movie? That was terrible. Cruise
Oh
Control?
yeah, that one was not good.
I saw that at a drive-in. I think, and the worst part is, I feel like that was a double feature of that and Showgirls or something. Is that Showgirls or Striptease? I don't remember which. It was one of those.
Probably Striptease. I don't know if they would show Showgirls in a theater,
Oh, no.
particularly a drive-in.
No, they did. No, it was there. I saw that too at the drive-in. I just can't remember
really?
if it was the same night.
It's an interesting double billing. You'd think they would just double bill Speed and Speed 2.
Well, except
But
for
why Speed 2 and Showgirls?
Well,
or even Striptease?
Well, you realize the drive-in was a first-run theater. It wasn't like they're just showing stuff. This was when they came out.
That's true. That's true.
It's like
But it's still a weird. Okay, so if you're gonna do that, why not pair Speed 2 with like another action movie that might be out at the
well, it
time?
depends what was out. That was the thing.
I guess.
Oh my god! And here we are, like 20 years later. Nobody knows. I mean, I just remember going to the drive-in. Like there was one night of the week where like you could fit as many people as you could in your car and pay just the rate per the car as opposed per person. And we used to like pile a bunch of us in, somebody in the trunk, whatever. And then when you get in
You
there,
really put someone in the trunk to
dude.
drive?
Oh
wow.
yeah. But then you park and you all pile out and like we would sit on the hood of the car and watch these things, stuff
So
like
I've
that.
never experienced a drive-in, so I don't know how this works. I thought they were just a thing of myth. I thought drive-ins stopped being a thing in like 1973.
Well, you have to also keep in mind that my town is the town that time forgot.
You have mentioned that, yes.
And there's still a drive-in a couple towns over. The one that was in my town did close about a decade ago now, but I worked there very briefly. When I was 16, I worked for the movie theater, and the people who owned the regular movie theater also owned the drive-in. And I had to go and cover one time because people didn't show up or something. But yeah, no, so basically you drive up, you pay your ticket price. Like normally it's per person, and the day that we chose is usually the one that you could pile a bunch of people in your car, and you pull up to your little speaker thing. However, by this point, the speaker things didn't work. You actually tuned it down on your radio.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so we'd all pile out of the car and sit on the hood or sit on the roof or sit on the ground next to it on a blanket and have our food and turn on the radio and watch this movie.
So you could theoretically just not even go to the drive-through or drive-in and
Very
park
true.
somewhere and turn on your radio and just listen to the movie.
You could. The problem with that scenario, though, is, again, my town has the whole lot of nothing around it, and there's not even really roads you can be on that you'll be able to see that screen. The way that it was positioned.
Right, but you would. But I'm saying you don't watch it. You could just listen to the movie.
Well, yeah, but the transmission doesn't go that far.
Okay, so it's like a really short wave.
Yeah, because it's only meant for that area.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So yeah, you could listen to it if you were like up on the ridge or what have you, but yeah, you wouldn't go very far beyond that.
Okay, so it's more like a walkie-talkie kind of
Yeah, kind of.
distance and not an actual radio.
Well, it's kind of like when you're in your car and you had either like your iPod that you could transmit over the radio station. It does it. In such
I remember those. Yeah.
such a short distance to just kind of cover your car, and then of course if somebody's really close to you on the highway, they get your thing too. It's only that kind of transmission.
Okay.
But yeah, so anyway, yeah, Speed 2 at the drive-in.
But you say there's still one open?
There's one. So Wellsville had one, and that closed about a decade ago. But Portville, which is a town about 20 miles down the road, maybe 30 miles, they have one, and that's still in operation.
So they could conceivably be watching Die Hard Year 1 on a drive-in movie screen?
Yeah.
That's insane. I didn't know any of those still existed.
If there's still some scattered throughout the country. If you have the opportunity to go to a drive-in, they're a lot of fun. I mean, you don't have to deal with other people really. You just have to deal with getting in and out of there. But yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine because you're basically watching a movie in a parking lot, so I'd imagine that'd be kind of a pain in the ass when it was done.
Yeah, I mean, in our case, you're watching it in a field. Like you literally pull up next to a little post, and that's how you know where you're supposed to be because it's a field.
Huh. Well, I guess that wouldn't be too hard to get out of then. You just kind of go wherever you want. Just drive through the grass.
Well, yes, but at the edge of the field is a big old ditch alongside the road. So if you tried to offload
that probably wouldn't work then. Yeah.
No, so you still have to get onto the driveways that come in and out of the drive-in. But yeah, it's kind of a free-for-all to get onto those driveways. My town. I'm telling you, if you have the opportunity, it's a lot of fun.
You know what? Whenever I do have a car again, I'll keep my eyes peeled for drive-in movie theaters, and I'll go around try to watch the weirdest stuff, like a Die Hard prequel that no one wants.
But we will be given anyway.
But yeah, we're gonna be getting it no matter what.
Who the hell's bankrolling that anyway? Like, I'm really curious who's going to fund that. Who's going to produce that piece of crap?
Fox. It says that Fox has ordered a 6th installment of the franchise. I guess they own the rights. So they're
Len
fuck it,
Wiseman.
make another one.
Len Wiseman has agreed to helm the prequel film. And, Lorenzo di Bonaventura is set to produce. So Lorenzo is ponying up the money for this.
Is that a name I'm supposed to know?
No. But that's what a producer does.
I'm aware what a producer. I just don't know if he's a producer that's produced anything major.
Oh, I got a whole lot of nothing. I'd never heard of him, but aside from like the big ones, you don't really hear of who the producers are per se. Like nobody cares. Nobody cares who put up the money. They care who directed it. They care who's in it. But
unless they're a crazy person like John Peters.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, John Peters. There's a lot of stories about him. Kevin Smith actually tells some pretty good stories about him because. For a while, Kevin Smith was supposed to be doing a Superman movie.
Okay.
It was Superman's Revenge or something? No, Superman. It was called Superman Lives.
Okay.
It's what Superman Returns kind of became.
I see.
But anyway, John Peters was bankrolling. He's this weird dude that apparently used to be Barbra Streisand's hairdresser.
Okay.
And then married Barbra Streisand, and then they got divorced, and he made a bunch of money. And so he just started producing movies. And the guy's apparently a nut. He likes giant spiders. He wants giant spiders and everything.
Huh.
And when the Superman movie didn't materialize, he wound up producing Wild Wild West.
Oh my
which,
god,
if you
that
remember,
Will Smith movie
has a giant mechanical spider in the third act.
I never saw that movie because it looked terrible.
It wasn't that great. As a kid, it was pretty good. But when I saw it as a kid, we were all riding a Will Smith high. Like, Men in Black had just come out, and that was great. So then he did Wild Wild West, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I liked it when I was a kid. Going back and watching it now, there's a lot of problems. Not the least of which the weird, flagrant racism that runs throughout.
Well, though, isn't that part of the film and the fact that they're in some sort of wild, like, this is a futuristic
Yes,
Wild
it
West?
is part of the film because like the main villain used to be a Confederate general or something like that.
Okay.
But there's these weird scenes between him and Will Smith where it's the most racist, offensive shit that's played for comedy. that you're like, how did this make it into a children's movie?
See, and I never saw it. The only thing I remember of that movie is the stupid music.
Yeah, because he did the same thing as he did with Men in Black. He did a rap for it.
Right.
And it was Wild Wild West.
Yep, and that's the only thing I remember from that movie because I didn't see it on purpose because it looked like crap. Because I must have been, dear God, was that the late 90s? When was that?
That would have been, mid to late 90s. I don't remember the year. I can look that up really quick.
Yeah.
Probably somewhere around like 97.
Yeah, let's see here.
I hear you typing. You go ahead and look it up.
You're like, you go look that up.
Well, I was gonna, and then I heard
99.
Oh, 99, okay.
So yeah, so I was 20. I was like, I don't give a crap.
Yeah, that would not have been advertised to you. 99, I would have been 13, so...
Yeah. Did you ever see the TV show? I never watched the show, so I don't know.
I've seen episodes here and there. I think they were playing it on Nick at Night for a while, or TV Land, or whatever the hell they call it.
No, Nick at Night.
And so, yeah, I've caught episodes here and there, but it wasn't ever something that I watched a lot.
Aren't they doing, sorry, totally weird sidebar, a 90s Nickelodeon channel?
Yes, I actually heard about that not too long ago. They're doing
so excited.
All the 90s shows and all like the Nicktoons they did back then. Yeah, so like Salute Your Shorts will be on there.
Oh, yes. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Please tell me to be Are You Afraid of the Dark.
I would certainly hope so. I loved Are You Afraid of the Dark.
You know what I want them to do? I want them to do the 90s Tomorrow People. I loved
I don't know that one.
Oh, I loved that so much. And they tried to redo it recently. Like, it was originally in the 70s. I'd never seen the 70s one. And then they did it in the 90s, and I was hooked. And I was, like, in love with Christian Schmid, who is the main guy.
This was on Nickelodeon?
This was on Nickelodeon. And they were always, like, 5-part miniseries for each storyline.
Like old school Doctor Who.
Yeah, kind of like old school Doctor Who. And they had all these great guest stars. Like, Christopher Lee did one. I mean, like, these were really, really awesome. Betty Davis was in one of them. Like, they did a lot of really cool things. And
Tomorrow People?
The Tomorrow People. And then they redid it again most recently, I think last year, and it was just terrible. I tried. But yeah, the Tomorrow People, I want that to come back for the 90s Nickelodeon. I want that. I want Are You Afraid of the Dark?
People. I've never heard of that.
Really? Oh, I was in love with it. What was another
British science fiction franchise.
I want the old school All That back. I want Roundhouse back. I want Doug. And
Doug will probably be on there.
And Rocko's
That's
Modern
all the
Life.
old 90s Nicktoons I think are supposed to be on there. Actually, they might just have a Nicktoons channel now that just plays all that stuff.
Maybe. Those of us who do not have TV, which is both you and I.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know what's going on in the world of TV. Here we go. Revivals. 1990s series. Tomorrow People. Country of Origin, United Kingdom.
Yep.
So it was a British show.
It was a British-Canadian collaboration, if I remember correctly. Because Christian Tessier, who is like a big Canadian actor at that time on Nickelodeon, was in it.
It's weird. I've never heard of this.
Oh, it's so good. If you find a way to like be able to see any of it, it's really, really fun. I loved it.
Well, the original air date was 92 to 95.
Yeah.
So I would have been 6 when it began. So, yeah, we might not have even had cable at that point.
Yeah, no, a friend of mine and I were like obsessed with it. And yeah, they were all like 5-part storylines, and it was all a lot of fun. And I want that to come back so bad. You can't even buy it. Like, I've looked. Canada had it for a little while to buy, but then they apparently stopped manufacturing it, and I can't get it now. And I was like, oh.
I'm sure it'll show up eventually. All that old stuff comes back. And it's all marketed for nostalgia.
Right. It's true. And the worst part is, like, then you go back and watch it, and you're like, this is kind of crap.
Oh, yeah. I've gone back to a lot of the shows from my childhood, and they're all just horrible.
Did you ever see one called Space Cases that was on Nickelodeon?
That sounds a little bit more familiar.
I remember Rick was obsessed with it. It had Jewel State, and it was basically this bunch of alien kids are on this spaceship, and I guess I don't remember if they were training or if they were going to school on this ship, and then the ship accidentally launches further into space, and they have to find their way home.
That does sound really familiar.
Yeah, I don't remember much else about it except for Jewel State had like a rainbow wig, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Space Cases. Here we go. Good old Wikipedia. Yeah, that looks a little bit more familiar. Yeah, it was 96 to 97, so yeah, at that point I probably might have had cable, or at least somebody I knew had it.
And I was, of course,
aired for a time on Nickelodeon Saturday Night Block. It was a Snick show.
It was a Snick show, yeah. I loved Snick stuff.
Yeah, this one sounds a little bit more familiar.
Yeah,
this one is Canadian, shot in Montreal.
As you do. Oh, Canada.
All of our best television shows.
Yeah, most of which are shot in Vancouver. Oh, Vancouver. It's funny, in Supernatural, they actually poke fun at that once or twice. They have an episode where they go to L.A. To deal with a ghost on a horror set. And they're walking down the back lot, and it's kind of misty and gray, and it might be raining, it's hard to tell. And I don't remember which one turns to the other one and says, you know what? I can't believe this. We're in LA. This weather's positively Canadian. And it's like, hee hee hee.
It's always nice when they do kind of acknowledge it.
And Supernatural does that a lot, actually. As you watch the show, they'll make little cute self-referential jokes.
Well, at this point, I think everybody knows that all of those shows are filmed in Vancouver.
Well, especially since you see the same, 12 actors in every single one of them.
Yeah, they all keep popping up. Everybody comes back. All the any television show on Sci-Fi is going to have the same actors every time.
Yeah.
Because they're all from Vancouver.
Yeah, because I'm watching, actors from Eureka are on Supernatural, and some of them are on Fringe, and I was like, for the love of all that is holy. We have the same, pool of actors that just keep going and doing sci-fi shows.
Yeah, it's always fun, if I see somebody from, I remember I was watching that guy on Battlestar Galactica, last year.
Or the Stargate, or any of that stuff.
Yeah, it's all crossover.
Yeah. Craziness. Oh, Vancouver. I kind of want to be in Vancouver just because that's cool. I'd love to live in Vancouver and be like, all these shows are shot here. I'm going to go spy on them.
Just walk onto the set, be an extra.
Be like, hello, hey, I've done it before, I can do it again. Hello, you need background actors. Let me be a background actor.
I'll just stand around back here and mill about and pretend like I'm talking.
Hey, it's the easiest paycheck I've ever gotten is doing background work, man.
Well, what is it? There's some kind of line that they have all the background extras say.
Are you talking the peas and carrots thing?
Yeah, that's what it is. Something like that.
Yeah, but nobody actually does that. That actually happens more often in theater than on set because you need to have the peas and carrots so that you hear the noise.
Mm-hmm.
And there's enough syllables in it that if people are staggering it enough, it just sounds like conversation. On screen, you could be saying anything. You could even have an actual conversation because they're not listening to you.
Right, because they don't have a boom mic.
You're not mic'd, yeah.
Oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. I did remember hearing that somewhere. That was this weird, that line they have them say over and over again. But yeah, I guess it would make sense in theater more than in actual film.
Yeah, I mean, in Spider-Man, I was talking to the chick next to me for 3 hours about super random crap.
I forgot you were in Spider-Man.
Yeah, because we had to keep looking like we were, chatting. We had to keep looking. Oh my god, I've never clapped so much in my life. It was always all these little busy things you had to do because you may or may not be in shot. And I was like, well, for the love of all that is holy.
Which Spider-Man were you in?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay, so I haven't seen either of those.
I haven't seen
Are you visible? Oh, you haven't seen it, so you don't know?
I am visible. Well, I went looking for me. I haven't actually watched the film. I am visible. There is a crane shot that happens when you go into the graduation scene where it pans over the audience down the slope up to the stage. Mm-hmm. I am very, very front to the left in my pink dress. You see the back of me, of course, but I'm very visible. It's like, hey, it's me. My hair's up in a ponytail. I'm wearing a very bright pink dress.
Did you intentionally wear the brightest thing you could find just so you would stand out on camera?
I did not. What happened with that was I was supposed to go to a fitting, and then they canceled my fitting, and I was like, all right, fine. And they're like, just bring a couple of options. And I did. And I brought 3 different outfit options. They chose the pink dress, not me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I do stand out. Holy crap.
I guess they just wanted you to pop.
And boy, do I. I actually have a screenshot of that on my computer. Actually, wait a minute. Can I? Hang on. Of course, I'm using BricsMac, so I have no idea how anything works. I was going to try to send this to you, or maybe stick it in the Google Doc.
Yeah, pop that in there. Yeah, send it to me, and I can. I'll put it on the YouTube video.
It's so people, in case you were wondering, here, let's copy that. Let's see if I can put it in the Google Doc. So speaking of movies, we have another thing in here. Does it work? Not so much. About.
Well, that's a file. No, just email me the file.
Oh, fine.
It'll be so much easier.
I know. I'm getting there. God. Anyway, Amazon is now suing about 1,000 people for putting up false reviews. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I just skimmed this one briefly, but the way you were explaining it to me was they're suing people that are paying for 5-star reviews, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, Fiverr.com. False review service for as little as $5, so $1 per star. Makes sense. Fake review sellers attempting to avoid detection by using multiple accounts from unique IP addresses. Not targeting. The lawsuit doesn't target Fiverr, which is not a defendant. This is working with Amazon to resolve the issue. Yeah, with something for Amazon, it makes much more sense to pay someone to give you a good review because you're actually trying to make money. You're actually trying to make money as a service. But this happens everywhere.
Well, it happened on Yelp. Yelp did the same thing where people were giving these great reviews to restaurants to get them more business, and their restaurants were actually crap. But they were paying to have those reviews written.
Right, but again, that at least makes sense from a business standpoint.
Right.
But this happened on Reddit a couple of weeks ago. One of the subreddits that I frequent R Kappa, which is like a satirical, horrible place to go about the fighting game community, and it's mostly garbage and shit posts, but it came to light there was this one dude who was posting all this crap that everybody hated this guy, and they're like, stop posting, basically.
It's like,
and apparently it came to light that he was paying people to go in and upvote his posts on Reddit. And it's like, why? That doesn't get you any money. That doesn't benefit you in any way. Yeah, it gets you internet points that you can't use for anything.
But you are famous. Do you see? I actually put the photo in the podcast notes.
Oh, you got it in there? Let me go back to the notes. I did not.
I also emailed it to you, but...
Yeah, I saw the email. I don't... Oh, there. Okay, there it is. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so that's you on the far left in that bright pink dress.
That is me in my bright pink dress.
All right. I will throw that up on the YouTube video. Maybe I'll circle you. Maybe I'll make a big arrow pointing to you in the back row there.
It's like Jen, the back of Jen's head.
Well, you are famous, Jen Haley.
I am famous. Well, also, you can kind of find me in the Michael Jackson video I did, but not nearly as well.
Did a Michael Jackson... Your life is so fascinating.
I told you, I did all this really cool stuff, and then I moved to New York City and got super boring.
Yeah, what the hell? Why did you ever come here?
That's a story for another time.
Because you were in the circus.
Yes. Well,
what,
I stage managed
2 years?
The circus. 2.
But you were in the circus, Jen.
Yeah, but 2 tours, yeah.
2 tours, okay.
Well, because it wasn't a full year. The tours were only from, like, June until August.
Okay, but still, you traveled with the circus.
I did.
What was it you were telling me last night that blew my mind?
I have no idea. I think I do that frequently. What?
You do. You tell me so much interesting stuff about you that you've done that I can't keep it all in my head.
I don't know. I'm racking my brain for all the weird shit that I have in my life. The circus is one. I was an EMT. That was another one.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do the extra work. So Michael Jackson and Spider-Man are kind of my claims to fame for that.
Michael Jackson, I had never heard about.
Oh, yeah. The Michael Jackson video for Cry off his Invincible album. I'm dancing in a field in Davis, California for hours on end. Yeah, it was not awesome. And they also chose that outfit, and that outfit, as I'm standing in the sun in California, was black jeans, black t-shirt, and a blue button down on for that.
Ew, that does not sound
that
comfortable.
That was not okay, and that was like 8 hours in the sun. It was brutal. No, I don't know what the hell I told you yesterday. I had a lot to drink by that point. I don't know.
Yeah, so did I. So I can't remember what it was, but it was something amazing.
Well, it's because it's me. Of course, it's amazing.
Oh, well, okay. That's how we're gonna play it.
I don't know what to tell you. Anywho's.
I'll have to start writing down all the amazing things you've done.
That's right, the amazing Jen. Amazing Jen. Well, since I just dropped that photo into Google Docs, I guess we can talk about the live writing over Google Doc that seems to come up every year or so from various...
Yeah, which is not something I had ever heard about, but then you told me about this. This was, oh, wow. So, yeah, this article that you just sent me is from 2012.
Right. There was something more recent, but I can't seem to find it because I was at work, I don't know, 4 days ago or so, and I was actually watching this person type it, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was now.
Huh.
But yeah, so apparently authors' new thing is that they start writing their novels on Google Docs so you can sit there and watch them do it, which I find a little bit creepy and super cool all at the same time.
Yeah, I guess it's just going to be a first draft, so it's not like anybody can watch you write this thing from beginning to end and know exactly what's going to happen and know the book that well because it's going to change in rewrites. But still, that's a little weird. You'd think that you wouldn't want to let people in until you're finished with the book.
Right, and you think you'd be cannibalizing your audience. It's...
Yeah.
I
was wondering, because when I was reading this thing, I was wondering, so, okay, obviously they're not going to let people make changes. Like, they can go in and just view it, but they can't edit. But, like... Are they going to let people make suggestions about where it should go or what they should do or what they should take out? And are they going to listen to those suggestions at all? And it doesn't seem like this person, who was this? Sylvia Hartman, doesn't seem like she was going to listen to anybody's thoughts.
Well, I wouldn't let anybody do suggestions anyway. It's like, you're just here to watch this because it's kind of neat. I'm not actually doing this to get feedback, though. Like, I would, yeah.
See, that's my problem. If you're doing this live, if you're typing up a book and you're doing it live, then it almost seems like you would be asking for feedback.
I guess.
Which is why I wouldn't do it. I mean, just write the book, and then when the book is done, give it to people.
Like, here, now read my book. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have to say, though, as a a person on the internet, watching somebody sit there and write the same sentence like 5 different times was kind of cool. Because he did keep going back and like re-editing it and going back and editing it again, and it's just like, wow, that's
going for like perfect word choice and all that.
Yeah.
I suppose that could be neat, but I mean, it's not something I think I would want to do for like an entire book. Like maybe every now and again, jump on, just get on Twitter, be like, hey, I'm going to jump on and fool around with a chapter, and you can watch my creative process. But don't, because like she said, she'd already roughed out 8 chapters in the one day that she'd been doing this in this article. And so, people sat there and watched her write 8 chapters?
Apparently. I mean, I'm sure nobody watched it from beginning to end, but yeah, apparently.
Oh, I'm sure at least one person did.
There's lone
There's
soul.
always that one weirdo that will do anything on the internet.
That's a different show.
Well, that could be a really interesting show.
No. That's just dangerous and asking for trouble.
To me, that's the entire internet.
The dark corners of the internet.
It's mostly the entire internet.
Well, maybe where you go, since you do the whole Reddit
That's
thing.
true. I hang around at some weird places on the internet.
You do. Like I said, my forays into the dark corners of the internet was to like go on 4chan and see the guy who shot people up and that whole thing.
Even 4chan, I don't really go to. That 4chan, that even, for me, that's even a little too weird.
Well, apparently there's a weirder one called 8chan.
Yes, I've heard of that. That's because after 4chan started actually implementing rules and regulations, somebody founded their own 8chan. Like, nope, no rules this time. We're going back to the way it used to be, where it was the Wild West. You could put whatever you wanted on here.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, the internet is a scary and wonderful place.
Well, and it's one of those things where, bullying and what have you has been around since the dawn of time. But now you can be mean to another human being with very few consequences because you are almost always anonymous. And, you can say these really terrible things, and it's easy to say these terrible things because they're not a person to you. And I find that really strange.
Yeah, the internet it's incredibly dehumanizing. It's, because everyone is just a username and an avatar.
Yeah, it's happened before the internet. There was a documentary called The Bridge. Are you familiar with this thing at all? Not Bridgehead. Not Bridgehead that I was talking about yesterday, but The Bridge, which is the entire documentary about the jumpers off the Golden Gate Bridge.
I've heard about that.
Okay. There's one story, and there's like a good 8 or so different stories in that documentary, but there's one where this like little bitty Asian chick crawled over the railing and is standing there on the edge, and this guy was just sitting there videotaping, the scenery and what have you, and because he was watching her do this through the lens of his camera, it didn't dawn on him that it was actually something that was happening at that moment. But thankfully he kind of came to his senses, shortly after. I was like, oh my God, this is and he grabbed her and pulled her back over. But he said that it wasn't real because he's watching it through his camera. And like the fact that
you're practically just watching a TV show at that point. It's like, this isn't real. This isn't a person. This is just something on my screen.
And the fact that can happen when you are personally within the vicinity of such a thing. I mean, just the internet blows my mind as to, if you can not realize that they're real when they're right there. It's just that much worse when, you're behind a computer screen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see that all the time on, like, Reddit. You see it in video games as well. That's a big deal. I mean, that's always it was something I saw on Polygon as I was going through looking for stories. Something about, what was it, League of Legends, I think, was trying to come up with ways to make their players be less assholes.
Stop being mean.
Yeah, basically just trying to come up with new ways to implement policies that would deter people from being dickheads, because apparently that community is legendarily a bunch of dickheads.
Oh, jeez.
But most online game communities really are. I mean, because, again, it's people getting hyper-competitive and not being next to somebody when they come up with something horrible to say. And so the tendency is to take it as far as you can. Just be as horrible as you can possibly be.
Yeah, it's such a weird phenomenon. And since I don't dabble in that kind of internet stuff at all, to me, it's hard to believe that people would even go there. And I know that it happens all the time. So, I mean, like, so Mike, as a internet gamer and everything else, I mean, like, what, and you're a relatively level-headed human being. I mean, have you fallen into that trap at all?
No, I don't normally have any kind of way of communicating with people when I play. I don't usually have, like, a microphone, and I usually go out of my way to mute anybody that does have one. Like, that's whenever I play Street Fighter on Steam, it's the first thing I do when I start a game with somebody, first thing I do is go down and mute them. Even if I don't know if they have a microphone on, even if it doesn't show the microphone icon, I'll still mute them just in case they decide to plug something in.
So that's a preemptive move because you think they might say terrible things? Or?
Oh, yeah, because people are gonna.
Okay. Well, and this is going to sound like a dumb question. Are you afraid that that's going to hurt you?
No, it's just I find it more distracting.
Yeah.
It's more distracting and obnoxious. That's mostly why they do it. Like I get one of the things that's really popular is people will they'll plug into their microphone slot. I guess they have sound effect boxes or whatever. They find some way that they can pipe in sound effects, and it's usually like a screaming baby or porno they've recorded or all kinds of weird stuff. And if it's not, if they just have a headset on, they'll just sit there and shit talk you the entire time while you're playing. And it's mostly just to distract you. And that's what it's an obnoxious distraction to me. So I mute them.
It seems like the internet is perpetually populated by 12-year-olds. I know that they're not, but it's just like that's the level of behavior.
It really is. It's because you can get away with it on the internet.
Oh, it's so weird. I'm just like, I'm pretty insulated from most of it. Like, I see, shit talking on Twitter and on Facebook and what have you, but I've never had to experience it through gaming and in real time. Like, none of that I've ever dealt with, and so it still blows my mind this is a thing.
And it's because you put on a headset and you can just start talking and no one will stop you. Like, no one can stop you. You can just go for as long as you want, for as long as you can, and just say whatever you want. And I guess I don't know, I guess that's liberating to some people. I guess some people are like, I can say anything that I want and nobody can tell me no. So I'm gonna go for it.
But then what kind of person are you that these are the things you want to say? I mean, like, it just seems like a really, really strange glimpse into the inner workings of certain people.
Well, we all have that dark inner id that we don't let out. And I guess if nobody can see your face and if nobody knows your name, then you just let it out.
I guess. I mean, people can't see my face. I mean, they see my name because, again, I do everything under my name. But I still have a filter. I mean, even if I have a moment of real assholishness in my head, most of the time it's not going to come out.
I know. Yeah, I try to think about what I'm going to say before I say it. Right. Sometimes.
Well, and I'm not good at that. Things sometimes fall out of my mouth long after I realize I've said them.
Well, and actually talking, it's harder. But like if you're just typing something for Twitter or Facebook or whatever, you can sit there and read back what you typed. Like, oh, you know what? I probably don't want to send that.
Oh, yeah, no. When it comes to Facebook or Twitter or any of that stuff, I will read and reread. And, of course, when it's 140 characters, it's really easy to read and reread it and fix it so it says precisely what I mean for it to say and can't be construed.
But so many people won't do that. They'll type it out, instantly hit send, and not think about it.
See, and I'm a big fan of the specificity of words. Like, if I say something, especially in writing, I spend a lot of time saying that's exactly the right word for that. It's just because I want to make sure that I'm perfectly clear as to what it is I'm trying to say.
Right. Look, with text, it's so hard to actually get your point across, or like to convey any kind of subtle thoughts that you might have.
Right. Well,
so you have to make sure that it's phrased exactly perfectly.
Yeah, you lose tone. So like that's why. Like, I used to have a boyfriend who would love to argue over text, and I was like going, I don't understand why we're arguing over text. Oh, it's because I can't actually hear what kind of tone you're using. Because you might be being an asshole. I have no way of knowing. I just see your words. And it's a weird thing. Oh, internet.
Technology in general. I mean, that's what it does. Every new piece of like communications technology we come out with kind of removes you one more step from the actual process of human interaction.
Well, there was, I don't know which news program I was watching, where they were talking about how millennials, and I hate that term, by the way, but how millennials would much rather interact with a computer than with a person, so they started putting in these kiosks at this McDonald's, where it was just a self-serve kiosk where you put in exactly what you want, and like eventually it'll pop out. And they were interviewing all these they're like 20-somethings, like young 20-somethings. And they're like, yeah, because I can, just go up to the kiosk and put in exactly what I want. And it's, no muss, no fuss. I'm like going, well, you can go up to the cashier and tell them exactly what you want. Like, it's just, like, what?
Yeah, but I agree with the kiosk thing because I love Grubhub. Because I love not having to call somebody and try to tell them what I want.
Well, I hate calling.
Plug it into the computer, you bring it to me, we're good to go.
Well, and I agree with you on that level, but that's because we live in a city where all these like Grubhub restaurants are run by people who I can't always understand them on the phone.
It's true.
I mean, it's really difficult because a lot of the, you call up a Chinese restaurant, it's run by Chinese people. And sometimes it's really, really hard, especially between an accent and just the technology of telephone, that really hard to understand what they're saying, and it's hard for them to understand you, and you don't always get what it is you're looking for. But like in a McDonald's situation, I find that strange.
I'd still be fine with it.
Well, I'd be fine with it.
I use the self-checkout machines in grocery stores.
Oh,
man.
I do too. Oh, no, I do too, but it's not so much I don't want to talk to another human being, it's just those usually don't have lines.
Yeah, that's true. Because there's so many people that don't know how to use them, so they just don't bother. People like us that do know how to use them, it makes everything go great.
Right, and especially since I'm not buying, a grocery list for a family of 4. I'm buying
Right, yeah.
So it's so much easier to just go through the self-check. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, working where we work as well, it's one of those where at some point our job will be obsolete.
Retail, I think, will be all right for a while. There are a lot of other jobs that will be obsolete.
Yeah.
Like Uber is killing a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with Uber.
I mean, I don't really care because I don't take cabs anyways.
Right.
But I mean, I get it. Like, all the cab drivers are super pissed because Uber's cutting into their profits and they're going to lose their jobs. It's like, yeah, you probably are going to lose your job because cabs are so expensive. If you can hop on Uber and get a lift from somebody for way cheaper than a cab, why wouldn't you? Like, that's just how it works. People want cheap things.
Right. And it can't, in my mind, the whole it can't hurt to have competition thing.
Right.
But I mean, here in New York City, where it's literally $1 million to have a medallion for your taxi. Like, these people have to buy the medallion, and it's literally $1 million. It's ridiculous. So the people who own these things have to make an investment, and they have to make their money back. And so I get why they're mad, absolutely. But that's because the system of the New York City taxi is a bit archaic in that respect. They haven't had to deal with competition ever, really. I mean, there's the private cab services, but you can't hail those.
Yeah, and most people would avoid gypsy cabs anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the cab company. I haven't had a whole lot.
Yeah, there's a car service up the street from our place that we've used to get to the airport before. Yeah. They're pretty good.
I don't mind those typically, but yeah, just having the regular yellow cab where you can see the fare, which is nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, it's funny because, like you said, they've never had competition before,
right.
So they have essentially had a monopoly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And now they don't have that anymore, which they're not supposed to have anyways.
Well, there's lots of things in the city that aren't supposed to be monopolies, but are, i.e. things like Con Ed and things like Time Warner Cable and, all that stuff.
No, cable's horrible up here.
I know. I mean, the theory
it's horrible everywhere, really, but up here there's 2 companies. In most places, you can only choose one.
Well, there are 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. There's the Time Warner, there's, Fios, there's RCN, and there's Optimum. Those 4 are available in the city. However, where I live, only one of them is available.
Same here. Where we are, only Optimum is available.
And for me, it's only Time Warner.
I hate Time Warner. I had them when I was in Austin.
No, everybody hates Time Warner.
Everybody hates Time Warner.
There is no good to come of Time Warner most of the time. Wow, we got abruptly quiet.
Yeah, a little bit. Because I was just stopping and thinking, my God, we're talking about monopolies and capitalism now? How do we get to here?
That is how our podcast goes.
It's true. Just kind of rambles, which is fine.
Well, I mean, we ran out of stories about 20 minutes ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, and this thing that I saw.
We have been, yeah, man, we tore through the stories kind of quick today.
We did. And in fairness, I was busy hunting during the Amazon one, so we didn't really talk about that much. But
yeah. That's fine. We got to an hour with this thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're an hour and 5. Look at that.
Yeah, which is way, like last time we got to what, an hour and 45?
I know, something
cut
ridiculous.
So goddamn much.
That's because we're chatty people.
We are. But this one I could probably be able to cut pretty quick.
Yeah. We still need to figure out a title and an intro and an outro.
Yeah, we do. We still need to figure out everything. We got to figure out, we have nothing. We have just recording conversations at this point.
It's like we have us talking, which we can do at length, whether you want us to or not. However, it'd be nice for people to understand what it is they're listening to.
Yeah, we got to find some way to sell this package.
What? We have to sell it? God damn it.
No, people aren't just going to show up, Jen. You gotta bring them in. You gotta draw the crowd.
I have to use my milkshake to bring all the boys to the yard?
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
I did just quote that.
Yeah, it's funny. I quote that all the time too.
Do you really?
Somehow I managed to work that into conversations pretty frequently.
Oh, well then that means I just beat you to the punch. I win.
You did. You really did. I probably should have jumped on that one.
You should have. Just too slow, man. Too slow.
Well, all right, Jen. I guess that was our conversation.
We're gonna end with my milkshakes bringing the boys to the yard.
I think we are. I think we're gonna end with your milkshake. I
Ah,
think your milkshake is a good place to stop.
you know, it's also a good place to start.